Hello again, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the marketplace. Of course, we're celebrating 25 years of joy with you. My name is Aboagye-Wiafe. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, records 400% jump in foreign direct investments in Ghana for the first quarter of 2020. I'll be telling you more about this pretty shortly. Also coming up in this bulletin, international oil companies threaten to shut down production activities as coronavirus continues to hit them hard. Plus, traders and importers raise concerns with the continuous charge of demurrage and rent by shipping lines at the various ports in the country. Bringing details of all these stories, plus more in this half hour of business news, the marketplace. Don't go. Many thanks for your company with me today on the marketplace. Welcome back. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, says the first quarter of 2020 saw a 400% jump in foreign direct investments in the country. This is despite the emergence of COVID-19, which saw some businesses in bauxite, tourism, and as well as other fields come to a halt. CEO of the GIPC, Yofi Grant, says it is time to look at companies that will sustain the economy around this time and for which incentives have to be provided. He added the strategy is also to look at improving infrastructure and technology in preparation for an FDI boom. Yofi Grant spoke with Udilia Ntiamwa.
I think that Ghana is rather in a position where we should be looking at the whole 100 billion could be a target for Ghana alone, not Africa. Because like I said, we do have the resources. What we have found wanting indigenously is the capital to develop a lot of these things. But we can attract investors with partnerships and linkages. And I believe that we have enough opportunity to absorb the 100 billion in the next 5 to 10 years. To build our infrastructure, to build our education, to build our health, to build social services and build our communities, smart cities, etc. We'll probably be able to take that $100 billion, Ghana alone. So I'm not sure it's time now to say that you should put a cap on foreign investment. Foreign investment, from my viewpoint, is about partnerships. Gone are those days of exploitation. I mean, gone are those days where people just plunged in and then took out and that was it. Now, we have foreign direct investment bringing in real capital, building businesses, and those businesses are not there fly-by-night businesses that they come in and they go out. They are businesses that want continuity because that's how they make their money. And so, to the extent that the kind of reforms and the kind of relationships and the kind of contracts we sign guarantee that we have sustainable financing, then I think that it's a wrong time to say we should cap foreign direct investment to Africa. On the contrary, I think Africa needs to tell its story better. We need to reposition better. We need to write contracts that are beneficial to us. Not just to the investor, but to us as well. Because that's the reason why you attract money. I mean, if you come to build a business, then it must employ my people, it must create jobs, and it must be sustainable. So those are the kind of things that I expect going forward, that Africa will do better. And as the director representing Africa on the World Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, I mean, one of the things that I mooted in our last steering committee meeting was the issue of incentives. That we should apply our incentives for responsible investors, those who can guarantee sustainability, those who can ensure that they are really locked into the local economies and create sustainable partnerships. That is where we should have a better use of our incentives.
And you think this is the time?
Oh, I think this is the time going forward.
Well, so the coronavirus pandemic has affected the world in an unprecedented way, and Africa is not left out, with continental leaders still deliberating the way forward for the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which is set to commence in July this year. Now, while calls have been made for implementation of the CFTA to be postponed, Afro Champions Initiative, a set of innovative public-private partnerships on the success of the trade agreement, is calling on African heads of state to rather use COVID-19 as a catalyst to roll out this initiative. Chief Strategist of Afro Champions, Michael Koto, has been speaking with my colleague, Inshirado.
The COVID-19 pandemic is really disrupting preparedness of the continent towards the July 2020 expected start of trading. And I'll give you a couple of ways in which it is disrupting the AFCFTA preparedness already. So the first one is that the Accra Secretariat of the AFCFTA was supposed to have opened in March. That had to be postponed because of the pandemic. So the Secretariat is currently operating temporarily out of Addis Ababa. They were in the process of recruiting staff and teams to work with the new Secretary General who had been appointed. All of that has been disrupted. Number two is that there were some critical negotiations to complete the outstanding negotiations in order for the July start of trading to start. So all those negotiations that were ongoing very rapidly have all been disrupted because the negotiation teams from the various countries cannot travel to meet and do the negotiations. So negotiations have also been disrupted. Country preparedness obviously will also be impacted because now countries have diverted all their attention to fight the pandemic. And one critical way in which this is impacted the AFCFTA is, as you can see, most countries, virtually every country on the continent has closed their borders in order to be able to fight the pandemic. And this is a continent that was looking forward to start of trading. Obviously, countries have reversed from open border mode to closed border mode. All of that is ways in which the AFCFTA is being impacted. The levels of trade have also gone down now in intra-Africa trade, obviously because of the border closures and all of that. So the impact has been big already. There are calls in certain quarters that the African Union should postpone the July start of trade of AFCFTA because of these reasons. And AfriChampions has looked critically at the situation. We've asked some really hard questions and tried to be creative and say, should this be postponed or other ways in which the continent can still ensure that AFCFTA takes off in July, even if the pandemic doesn't end early. And the position of AfriChampions is that the African Union should not postpone the July start of trade.
Very delicate issues there. Let's move on to other stories. Traders and importers are raising concerns with the continuous charge of demurrage and rent by shipping lines at the various ports in the country. Government, through the Transport Ministry, directed managers of the ports and shipping lines earlier this month to waive these charges off because of the impact of the coronavirus. According to the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, these charges are indeed hurting their businesses. President of the association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, joins us via phone for some updates. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the market, please. Hello, Doc.
Hello.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the market, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
All right, so you've been raising some concerns, to the waiver directive given by the Ministry of Transport. What exactly are you talking for?
Yeah, as you are aware, directives were given last week that there should be suspension of demurrage payment. And when the restriction of the lockdown was lifted, we started business as usual, but they are not giving us this waiver. And so we want to remind government that we are not getting the results, and that the shipping lines are not responding or complying to the directives. And that's why we wonder, we are so frustrated, since last week, none of our members have been able to clear their goods because of the overdue demurrages that are to be paid. And we are also pleading with the shipping lines that we are their clients, and they should know we are not in normal times. Companies, organizations all over the world are giving special concessions and sacrifices at this time. And so they should work with government, understand the issue here, and then comply with the directive so that we can also clear our goods.
All right, now, so Doc, in your release somewhere last week, you sought to, as it were, hold brief for some of these concerns by the shipping lines and shipping agencies. What exactly are these concerns that you are holding brief for?
The shipping lines, if there's any concern, they have to iron it out with the ministry. We do not come in. This should be a government and them. And then I think they are thinking about the timelines where and which time are these not supposed to collect these demolitions and all that. They are also seeking for some concessions that government itself will also make. But for us, we think that the stimulus package that the government is talking about starts from here. Because these are the areas that we need this stimulus. So government should do everything. Because, you know, most of us have even, let me give you this scenario. If somebody's goods came on the 30th, the day of the lockdown, and then the person have 21 days demurrage free, you know, we were locked down for 21 days or 3 weeks.
Yeah, sure.
It means that the person have forfeited his demurrage free during the lockdown down period. You understand? And this is what we are talking about. That if you make up this 3 weeks for us to take our time to prepare and then clear our goods, because it is a process. It's not that your goods have come and then you are going to pay duty. You have to sell your goods, get some money, get the money for the duty, sometimes get the money to pay your suppliers to get the bill of lading before one can go to the port and clear its goods.
Right, I was wondering.
We are lagging behind because of the lockdown.
I was wondering, since the two parties work hand in hand most of the times, can't there be any agreement, so to speak, to agree or to arrive at a particular, proper time that you can clear your goods appropriately after raising funds?
Yes, since we work with them.
You've been working hand in hand with these shipping agencies and shipping lines.
Yeah, and that's why I find it difficult. Because myself, I talked to the leadership of the association and pleaded with them that we are not in normal times and that they should be ready to give concessions. And if government is also giving directives, government should know how to go about it. If they also have to appeal or do something to mitigate the shipping lines, then they have to do. For us, the laymen, the ordinary people, the importers, we are suffering.
Okay.
Because these people are not complying with a directive that have come over a week now, and is not being complied with. Now, don't forget that this is not the only country that these waivers have been sought. India did the same directives of waiver suspension. Right. Nigeria did it, and Cote d'Ivoire and all that. Why is it working in other countries and it can't work here?
All right, thank you very much.
We have to be assertive on our demand.
Okay. Thank you very much for those thoughts. GUTA President Dr. Joseph Obeng sharing his thoughts on this particular development. Let's turn our way into other stories in energy. The coronavirus pandemic continues to hit hard on the petroleum industry globally. Now, after the benchmark price of U.S. oil futures dropped to minus $38 a barrel, international oil companies are now threatening a shutdown of production activities should the development continue further. Let's join founder of the Ghana Oil Drilling Academy and consultancy, Godak, Prince Frimpong, via Zoom for his perspectives and how badly the situation is. Of course, somewhere along the line, we also bring on board Raymond Nuoko, who is with the Institute of Energy Security. Now, Prince, you're welcome to the marketplace. Hello, Prince.
Yeah, hello, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Now, so what is your take on these threats that is coming from international oil?
The question of whether the industry is coming back to normal, can be pondered. Normal is no longer desirable nor secure. Now, we had an industry that was sitting on a global warming time bomb, the consequences of which will be mild if compared to global coronavirus results. At the same time, this industry was very hostile to the ecosystem. So perhaps what has happened to me will be a catalyst for the transition from fossil fuel to clean energy. Now, these major companies are dependent on government stimulus to revamp back to what you call normal. The question is, are people willing to use their tax monies to bring back this normal, or would we look at an economy that is better sustainable in the long term? So that's why we are here.
Yes, all right. So Prince,
the issue is a very questionable at this time, unpredictable, and perhaps never.
So Prince, the issue now is that ExxonMobil and then, Chevron and other big companies, oil companies, are threatening to shut down. And of course, this will also trickle down to, relatively smaller companies operating in Africa and elsewhere. Now, will this actually affect Ghana, for instance? Will Tullow shut down, and what will be the impact on the country?
Well, most likely because you cannot produce at a higher cost than what the market is ready to offer. Remember, the average market price for the crude now is around $25, which is not sustainable. So the cut in investment will trigger down the cut in activities, and automatically, when activities are cut down, eventually people would have to lose their jobs, and the shutdown is just by the time. It's mandatory.
Now,
with the current
before I bring in Raymond, I would like to know from you, Ghana, the GNPC, that's the Ghana National Petroleum Company, has in mind to become a standalone operator of our fields. Now that we have this situation, do you think that we should suspend as a country all exploratory activities and wait for normal times to return before we pursue them?
Well, you don't suspend exploration activities. They get suspended by themselves. Remember, the exploration is one of the cost-intensive part of the entire value chain. So that if the resources are not available, activities will die by themselves. But again, if you have the resources available, I would recommend that data gathering continues, that the exploration activities continues, because the better data you have about the blocks, the more attractive you make them for potential investors.
All right, so let's now situate let's bring the situation here home, and Raymond Nuopo is a principal researcher at the Institute of Energy Security. Now, Raymond, why is it that the country has found it so difficult to reduce drastically petroleum prices in the downstream sector, even though on the upstream there are things, the situation looks favorable?
Come again, please. The line was faint.
Yeah, Ray. Ray.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and good afternoon. Basically the coronavirus is... Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying that basically the coronavirus has cascaded through the whole industry. So oil marketing companies are also facing some of the effects of the coronavirus. If you look at their average sales volume before the lockdown, it was around 5,000, and during the lockdown, their sales volume reduced drastically by 70%. They are now having an average sales volume of over around 1,500, which is huge for them. So it's making it difficult for them to reduce prices drastically. If you look at the window, look at the first quarter of this year, they have reduced prices between 15 to 20%. But because of the inability to sell in large volumes, and they have to pay taxes to government, they are unable to continue to reduce prices as we see on the international market.
All right, so Ray, we don't have much time, but quickly, what will be the outlook for the first pricing window in May?
Okay, thank you very much. The first pricing window in May, prices are supposed to decline marginally. We say marginally because the OMCs are unable to sell the stock they have already. So therefore, they find it difficult to reduce prices drastically.
All right. Thank you very much, Raymond Nuopo. He's a principal researcher of the Institute of Energy Security. Earlier, I was also joined via Zoom by Prince Frimpong. He is the CEO of the Ghana Oil Drilling Academy and Consultancy, Kodak. He's currently based in Norway. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. And that's it for the Marketplace. My name is Aboagye-Wiafe. Have a good afternoon.